Hey everybody, and welcome to our Digitize Live. I'm so glad that you guys are here to join us and let us know where you are checking in from. I did take a quick look. We got people from all over the place: Arizona, from the UK, from I guess Utah, from Ohio, from Ottawa, from El Salvador, from just, hey, we're really glad that you guys decided to take time out of your busy day and to join us. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. We had a great day today. Life is full of blessings. You wake up and you're able to, that's a blessing in itself. James Deere is here. Hey, James.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. And I think Jesse Deere is in the background as well. So we have all the boys here today. Jennifer is not here, so she will be watching this afterwards. So I have to put a little call out to her because it is Valentine's Day coming up on Monday, right?
Aw.
Oh, okay. And James, do you have somebody special you have to put a little call out to?
Yeah, we better shout out Samantha.
Okay, so Samantha, that's a shout out for you, and for all you guys. So let's do something kind of fun. If you want to do any reactions, do some hearts. So hearts would be really cool to see. We appreciate that. This is going to be a digitized live session, so I'm going to get into that in just a couple of minutes. Before we do that, again, just keep letting us know where you're coming in from. If you have any questions during this live feed, I'm going to be in digitizing mode, but James is going to keep an eye on the comments, right, James?
Yep, just leave your leave your questions in the comments and I'll forward them on to John.
Awesome. He'll actually pipe up and interrupt me as I'm digitizing. So that way I can keep the flow, because it's going to be a fun design. We're going to do Mylar. We're going to have some puff stuff in there. It's going to be like a 7-inch design. I'm going to be going as fast as I can, so I'm going to try to stay as uninterrupted as possible. I will, and I have a question for you guys, because we do, of course, we're going to have some prizes later on, all that good stuff. Everybody loves free. But I do have a question for you guys. Who here has ever had an embroidery? Okay, I got to restart this. Who here who has an embroidery machine has ever had a needle go through their finger? If you have, put a comment in the comments there. Now, I'm saying this for a reason, because we actually have somebody who helps us with our sampling, and she is incredibly special. We call her, what's her name?
Samplin' Sammy.
Samplin' Sammy. It's James' girlfriend, and she actually has a real talent for this. I ran production for many years. We had 2 factories going, and when we ran production for embroidery, how you prepped your workflow and how you kept those machines going was the most important thing. I mean, the machines, we had 24 head machines, but we had to make sure that all the jobs were set up, the colors were chosen. We made sure that the hoop sizes coordinated, whether you're doing caps or shirts. And it does require a little bit of a gift to do that. And I will say this to Sam, because I know she's going to be watching. She is incredible. She is really good with colors, but without me needing to train her, she just automatically knew that she had to keep those machines production friendly. Now, I'm telling you all this because just yesterday, was it yesterday, James?
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday, she now has a new and healthy respect for embroidery machines, because she was running one of our 10 needle machines and she got a needle right into her nail bed, and luckily she pulled it away quickly. So anyways, we don't need to go into the gory details, but do we have anybody who's had needles go through their fingers?
Oh yeah, we've got Roberta, we've got Pat.
Okay.
We've got Angel says it's just a matter of time. For her.
And so you're kind of right there, Angel.
Quite a few people have had it happen to them, unfortunately.
Yes, yeah, and I always used to say, because when we were doing live events for many years, I always said that every good embroiderer has a needle go through their finger at some point or some time. It's one of those things that's going to inevitably happen, but then you get a really healthy respect, and it odds are it might not happen again. If it does happen twice, and yours truly had it happen twice, that either makes me a really good embroiderer or just not too bright. James, which one do you think it is?
I'll let you figure that one out.
That was a setup, okay? I can take it as much as I can give it out. So, but I will let you know that I know the exact time and day that I had the second needle go through my finger. It was the morning of probably about 10 a.m. on April the 23rd, 1992. Now, I remember that day so well because I was running production in our factory. I was downstairs running a 24-head machine, and I had a needle go through my finger, but it went into the finger, and the needle actually shattered. and my hand was trapped underneath of the machine. And if you've ever seen those really big commercial machines, if you want to raise or lower the needle, there's actually this little thing at the side of the machine where you put in a big piece of metal and you turn it. And if you go clockwise, it actually drives the needle in further. And if you go counterclockwise, it makes it go up. So all I remember doing after that happened and my hand is stuck in the machine is I was screaming to the helper, counterclockwise, counterclockwise, because I did not want it going in any further. Now, James is saying, come on, hurry up, Dad. But anyways, I know the date because it was the day that my son Jesse was born. And it was kind of funny because Jennifer couldn't get a hold of me because I was in the hospital in Toronto, and she was up in labor somewhere else. And I finally got up there, and they were picking pieces of needle out of my finger while my wife was in labor. So that's it's kind of a cool story. But I have not had a needle go through my finger since then. So let's hope it only happens.
Yeah, knock on wood, right?
Yeah, knock on wood. So anyways, we are going to digitize live. Now, before we do that, I do have to let you know, because we are an official Hatch reseller, and you might have seen that Hatch is currently on sale. It just went on sale February 7th, and they have $200 off the regular price, and you get the Silver Academy Pass included from Hatch, so that's automatically included. That's a lot of great information for the basics, and it gives you $199 value, and you can just watch that at your convenience. But you also, when you order through our link, get the first level of our Digitizer's Dream course. You get a mini membership, which now we've kind of changed things, but you get free ESA fonts or designs of your choice. You can mix and match. So we are giving, I think it's like over $600 worth of bonuses when you order Hatch through us at the $8.99 price. Now, Flex Pay is not included within that special, just so you know. But if you follow our link, it will take you to Wilcom's site. And as long as you follow our link, you will get all of the bonuses plus the discount. So Hatch is on sale right now. And this is the first time since, I guess it was Black Friday, right? That was the last time it was.
Doesn't happen all that often. So if you are looking at Hatch, be sure to take advantage of the sale now.
Yeah, and I do think, and give me some hearts and thumbs up on all you Hatch users out there, but any software is only as good as the education that comes with it, in my personal opinion. And that's why we do try really, really hard at Embroidery Legacy to provide great content within our groups, our videos, and our Digitizer's Dream course. So we want you to get the software, but we also want you to learn how to use it, because otherwise it sits on a shelf. Now, I'm going to go into my software, and it just happens to be Hatch, and I'm going to digitize a design. And James, can you verify that you can see that on screen there? Because I'm going to be switching over.
Sure.
Are we good?
A little bit of a lag.
Yeah, a little bit of a lag time. But here is the design I'm going to be digitizing. It's pretty simplistic. I'm not going to follow my 3-to-1 or 6-to-1 rules as I normally would, because it's a simple design. Plus, I want you guys to see what I'm doing for the most part on screen. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to do this with Mylar. We're going to use some puff stuff, and we are going to embroider this and just have it as a little frame piece. So I will zoom in a little bit. I'm going to zoom into the design, and I'm going to start digitizing some objects. So I'm going to go to my digitizing tools. I'm going to choose a closed shape tatami stitch, and I'm just going to very, very quickly go around the outside of this shape. You will see these being generated as we actually hit that enter button, but there is the first shape right there. And then I'm going to digitize the next object, which is going to be another fill stitch, and we will just come here. Now keep in mind, when you digitize designs, you want there to be as few jumps and trims in the design, and you want it to logically path its way through, meaning that you do not want to have unnecessary trims and jumps. So there's our second object there. Now I'm going to go to a light green, and I'm going to start right here on the head. And Hatch does have an auto pan feature, which I do love, because as I'm digitizing, I don't have to take a little hand and pan over on something. It automatically moves with me as I go. There's my next object. Now I'm going to change to a digitize open shape, go to a single run, and I'm just going to put a little line there connecting, because I want to make sure there is no trims. And now I will go back to my tatami stitch, and I will do the other side of this object right here. And we will just do that one coming all the way up to here. and then I'll go back over to my running stitch, and I'll do a run traveling from one leg to the other, and then I will go back to a fill stitch, and I'm going to do the other little piece right here. So right now I'm doing all the fills first. I'm not really worrying too much about push and pull compensation like I normally would, because I know that when I do Mylar, it's very low density. 1.2 millimeters is the spacing, so it's not a full fill. I don't have to worry about all of that secondary problem of push and pull. Now the next object I'm going to do, I'm just going to go quickly here so you can see I've finished all the fill areas in the turtle. Let's go back to our view, and now I'm going to do the water. So I'm going to change it to a blue color. Let's go back to our digitized shapes, and I'm going to come right in here, and let's just do all of these pieces. And I'm panning along. I'm going to carve out this area for the actual little, I guess, seaweed that's there. And I'm going to come around this side here, and I'm going to come up to the top, come straight over to the other side, come all the way down to the bottom here. And with this one, I can just come here and go around the outside of this one and follow along here. Let's do this piece all the way around.
And once again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them into the chat and I will let John know.
Yeah, I always get a little self-conscious when I digitize live because, I do this all day long for the most part, and I kind of find it repetitive, and some people find it interesting, but I'm always sitting there going, are people kind of enjoying this? So if you are enjoying this, please let me know. Now I'm going to select that last object that I did because I need to carve a hole in the turtle. So I'm going to go digitize hole, and I'm just going to go around the outside of this turtle, again, about halfway in on that satin stitch that we're going to do. And we will just go all the way around the outside. And it's really not taking us long at all to do these fills. And you'll also be surprised when we start putting down the satin stitch, which is going to be puff stuff. It's really not going to take long either. I should have timed this, James. Do you know when I started? Because
I'm not 100%
not 100% sure. Okay,
we'll say 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago? Okay. Because, this type of stuff, and again, it's all about practice. I always tell people that if you do anything, take up a hobby, and you only do it 1 hour a week, let's say, for the next 10 years, odds are if you're only putting an hour's worth of time in, you probably will never be that great at it. It actually takes a little bit of discipline, a little bit of time, and that's how you get good at anything, is by repetitiveness, learning the foundation, and then just doing the same thing over and over and over. And that's what makes you actually good at something. Just my humble opinion, but I didn't learn how to digitize overnight. It was a craft that I learned many years ago, and I put in a lot of hours, like probably 20,000 hours the first few years that I was actually doing it. So there I have all of those fills down. If I look here, there's all my fill stitches. Now I ended off here, so I might as well go back in, and let's do this little red part in here. We'll do the inside of.
Liz said that it's fun to watch you digitize, just like it's fun to stand and watch the machine run a design.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Actually, the watching a machine, it's like hypnosis, I find. I love watching a machine to this day because there's nothing more satisfying than digitizing a design and then running a sample and seeing it actually turn out okay. You're kind of doing a victory dance at that point. But digitizing a design is, in a way, kind of funner because the whole process is a lot quicker for the most part. I've laid down quite a few stitches here, and it really hasn't taken me that long at all. Now I am going here.
We have a quick question.
Yep.
Just to clarify, after you created the fill for each turtle piece, you then sent it back and created the holes. Can you repeat how to carve the hole without selecting the turtle?
I just selected the object, so I was digitizing the blue water, and I digitized the whole area which covered the turtle. And then after I digitized the whole area, I selected that object. And when I selected that one object and then hit the carve hole feature, oops, in there, let's change that. and I made a little mistake there. I got to make that into a straight. Then it actually allowed me to carve the hole within that object. So you select the object, which was this object here, and it filled in the entire area. I just hit digitize hole, and I was able to go in. If I wanted to make a hole inside of this little bubble here, I could make a hole in that bubble if I wanted. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to reverse. So there, that's how that was done.
Awesome.
Now, yep.
And just so everybody knows, this will be up for replay after the stream is finished on our Facebook page or YouTube. So if you do want to give it another watch, you are more than welcome to.
Yeah, for sure. I know I'm going quick, but that's it. This really isn't kind of a tutorial lesson where I'm showing you exactly which nodes to do. But maybe we'll even try to put up this file afterwards if people want to run it. What do you think, James?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. James was thinking about something else. Now, here, I'm going to go back over to here. Let's just go over to our view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I know I'm going to do the blue area next, and I don't want to zoom in that much. Let's just go here to, let's say, F, and let's go to 200%, and that's good right there. I know that this right here is about 2 millimeters, and these borders are about 3. Just because I know at 6:1, which this is my 6:1 scale, I can pretty much visualize and know what the width is. That is the advantage of digitizing at a set scale, is you end up knowing your software and what it's going to do. You don't have to be measuring things all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my digitize open shape, and I'm going to choose a satin width, and I'm going to do the satin width here at, let's say, 2.25 millimeters. And that way it's going to be set. And I'll start right here on the blue. Let's choose a darker blue color. And actually, you know what we're going to do, just so we don't confuse things, because right now we have a lot of stuff up on the screen. So I'm going to select all those objects, and I'm going to hide them. So I'm going to hide the selected objects. They are still there. Don't worry. They didn't disappear. I didn't delete them. But that way I can see my original artwork, and it's going to make it a lot easier moving forward. So I'm just going to come right here, put this point in, from here to here, hit enter, and I'll turn the true view on so you can see these being generated. Now I'm going to switch over to a run stitch, and I'm just going to travel in the red area, and then I'm going to go back over to a satin, and I'll do a little stitch going across there, and then I'll go back to a run, and I will come over here and travel over to this little piece, and then I'll go back to a satin, and I'm just going to continue to go through and travel between all these objects. That is going to minimize any unwanted trims in the design. So now I'm going to just come here, and let's do this piece, and I'm going to do this one right over to here, and then let's go back to a run stitch, and I can see that I have sort of a run going over here. So let's do this one, and okay, I'm just looking here. Sometimes you have to kind of plan and travel a little bit. Now this one here, I'm going to do this piece next, but I need to change now the satin width from 2.25 to 3.25, because now I want it to be a little bit wider, because I can see that that width is wider. And I'm going to do a digitized close shape instead of open. So all I have to do is hit 3 points around there, hit enter, and it automatically closed that shape. Now I just want to remember, put that back to 2.25, and now I can continue this little path here and have it go all the way back to there. And oops, and I made a mistake. And if you don't know what I did, I should have switched from closed shape to open. So that was my first boo-boo. Maybe we should, James, count the boo-boos, okay? Count how many mistakes I made. That's number 1. So
are we starting right now, or?
Yes, that's the first one. Okay, well, I'm not talking about mistakes I've made, like in life. I'm just talking about mistakes.
All right.
Okay, thanks. Okay, because I've made a lot of mistakes in life. So that's, but it's not the mistakes you make, it's how you handle them, right? So here I'm going to come back, and I'm going to go right to here, and now I'm going to go back to a satin stitch, and let's go right across to here and enter. And now I'm going to close that shape again. I'm going to change it to 3.25 like I did before. And let's go here and do a curve, 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 enter. Then let's go back to 2.25. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. So I created an open shape there, going over to this side here. And now I'm going to go back to a run stitch, and I'm going to travel over to this little point right here, hit enter, go back to a satin. Let's do this point right here to here, enter. go back to a run, and let's go down here, and let's do this little point right to here, go back to a satin, and I want to see where I kind of am in the design, because I know that I'm going to be reaching a point where I have to make some decisions about how I'm going to travel or path. And that is digitizing. It is learning how to travel and path through a design so that it is logical. You want your machine to run nice and smoothly. You don't have to be a digitizer to know when a machine is running smoothly. That happens after a few months of running your machine, because when you see strange things happening and you wonder why, you start to look for solutions. And give me some thumbs up on that.
Speaking of which, we have a question. It's not exactly digitizing related, but somebody has a brand new embroidering machine and it's making lots of knots or bird's nests under the fabric.
Knots or bird's nests. Knots or bird's nests are usually attributed to too many stitches going into the same area too many times, usually, if it is a design problem. If it is not, that's why I try always to avoid stitches being hammered into the same place. I mean, that's kind of just a written rule. Even if there's movement on the machine, you still don't want those stitches hammered into the same place, because a piece of fabric can only handle so much. So that is something that will cause that. But saying that, if you have timing issues on your machine, that could be an attributing factor as well. So if it's not the design, then yes, it could be the machine. Now I'm changing this one to 3.25. Did that answer that, Mr. Deere?
Yeah, and then we have another question about hatch.
Yep.
How do you hide the completed stitches or work?
You hide them by just selecting the object in your sequence views. You can select however many colors or objects you want, and then you right-click on it, and the drop-down menu will ask you if you want to hide them, unhide them, and a whole bunch of other things right here. I have unlock, lock, hide, duplicate, delete, all that good stuff. You can also lock them down if you want to.
Cool. Awesome. And a few minutes ago, when I believe you were out of True View, there was a black dot in the center of your screen. What does that indicate?
That is usually a black dot. That is the start position of the design. So you might have right now at the auto start end, usually it starts in the center, moves out. You have those little traveling stitches with the staggered line, which represents a jump stitch. Then it starts to come in. Usually a little triangle is a trim factor as far as commands are concerned. All these can be turned on or off, so they're visible or not visible. And then you usually want within your design a start and stop where it comes back to the center point and finishes the design center. Cool?
Awesome.
Okay, so now I'm going to continue on, and let's go over here. I'm going to start doing the shell of this guy. So I'm going to be right here. Let's do this point right to here and come over and just go to there. There's my first piece. I need to have a traveling stitch just to get over here to the second one. I know it's one little tiny step, but we want to make sure that we do this piece here. And now I'm going to do this one and hit enter. And then I'm going to do this piece right from here and go all the way around something like this. And then I'm going to go to my next color, which I will want to be the green. So we're going to do a darker green. And we'll just repeat that here. We will come, if I don't like something, I can always backspace. So backspace will get rid of my nodes as I'm doing. Oh, and there's my second mistake, Mr. Deere. Put that one down. I need to change this. That's number 2. I need to make this 2.5. And I'm going to actually do this little piece first because he needs to be smiling. And then we want to change it to 3.5 because after he is smiling, he has a small smile, which then is outlined with a larger satin stitch for the head. So I just change the width of those stitches before I digitize them, and that way it's going to give me a better representation. Put that one down. Now I'm going to go back to a run stitch, come over here, hit enter, go back to a satin stitch. Let's do this one right here. Come all the way around this point right here. And we are going to finish right there, enter, go back to a run stitch, coming around here and enter, go back to a satin, and that is a little too close. So I'm going to come over here, do this one, and it just zoomed out into outer space, but that's okay. Come back around here and enter, and now I'm going to change that to a darker gold color, which let's use this one here. And I will do this as a digitized closed shape now. And I'm going to do this as one piece and just go all the way around here and do something like this. And believe it or not, we are getting really close to actually finishing this design. Where it's not that hard of a design, it's not that detailed, and we can knock this type of stuff out really quickly. Now let's go to our next color, which is going to be the darker red, and I'm going to choose a 2.5, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not on closed shape. I want an open shape, and I'm going to start right over, let's say, where do I want to start? That really doesn't matter. I'm going to start right here, and let's do this piece right across here to here, and enter. Let's go back to a single, come to here, go back to a satin, go over here, enter, go back to a run, come over here, go back to a satin, come over here, and then go back to a run. As long as I know that they are touching closest point, the software will automatically, it's almost like a adjust to anchor point. As long as they know they're close, it will not give you any unnecessary trims because it looks for the closest connecting points within the design. But if they're too far away, then it will register a jump. So here I have connected all of these little stitches. I'm doing them first, going back to a run stitch, going around this side here. And now I might as well come in here and do this little piece. And then while I'm here, I'm going to go back to my single run, come down to this piece. Let's do this one. Come all the way across like this, hit enter, come back to a run. And let's go right out here where I have two more little pieces to do. So let's do this one. And then I need to go back to a run stitch and do this one. And let's go back over here to the satin and do something like that. Hit enter.
Lots of people saying you make it look really easy.
Well, you know what? It's easy when you understand the theory, when you understand the tools, when you have your foundation laid, then digitizing becomes easier. Because it's the name of our site, Digitizing Made Easy. I didn't say digitizing is easy. You still have to follow all of the rules. You have to learn all of the steps. But once you do, then it is repetitive. There's only so many ways to create a satin stitch. There's only so many ways to create a run stitch. There's only so many types of underlay. All of these are foundational rules that once you learn them, you apply them over and over and over again to every design that you do. So digitizing can be fun. It doesn't need to be frustrated. But I will be perfectly honest, it does take some time, some commitment, some knowledge, some good teachers. And I'm not the only good teacher out there. I have a lot of people in this industry that I respect highly. And if you can learn from a bunch of good teachers, then even better. So now I just have this object here. Let's go to a wider stitch, and let's go right here.
And if anybody is watching that does want to learn how to digitize, or you haven't tried it yet, or maybe you have and just didn't have a good time, we do actually have a free challenge in Hatch where you can give digitizing a go, and we'll include a few lessons for you to give it a try and get started.
Awesome. Yeah, we you know what? We try to make sure that you have a version of the software to play with, and that you also have the tools to get started. Because if you've ever downloaded a program before and then said, what do I do next? Now I changed that to 4.25 just so you know. I made it a little bit wider, and now I'm going to hold the control key down because now I'm doing around the outside here, and I am going to go right around to here. These are all the points I need to put down, and there is my solid block. So I am all done that entire object. I have one little eyeball here. I'm going to zoom in right here now, just to that little eye. Let's digitize blocks. I have a satin stitch. I'm just going to put in a nice little eye and make it look like an oval. Hit enter, and oops, okay, that's mistake number.
Yep. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so
what shortcut key do you use to switch between a satin to a run stitch?
From a satin to a run stitch, that is the space bar. But I do have, and I have a whole bunch of videos on YouTube. I am using a pen. So PC pen tablet technology, best way to go for any software program that is graphically engineered, whether it's drawing, cartooning, or digitizing. A pen is stronger than a mouse. But I love my mouse too, because my mouse has all kinds of hotkeys on it. And because I have the 32-inch Wacom monitor, I have this little remote control that has every hotkey that is programmed into Hatch at my fingertips. And yes, I have them memorized. That is also another reason why I'm pretty quick. Now, all I have to do at this point is come here, and I'm going to take this object here, and I'm going to duplicate it, and I am going to come in at the bottom, and let's go here to duplicate it again one more time. So duplicate twice. So now I have two objects there. I'm going to go to full screen just so you can see what I did. The reason why I duplicated those is I'm going to make that one a different color. I don't care which color it is, but I'm going to make it a running stitch. And I'm going to take this one, make it a different color, and I'm going to make it a running stitch as well. So now I have two running stitches. I'm going to choose both of them, and I'm going to put them all the way to the beginning of the design. I am actually bringing them all the way up to the beginning, because if this is Mylar, it's kind of like an applique. I need an outline and a tack down stitch. Now let's bring all of our colors back. And if I go
a few questions whenever you have a chance.
Sure.
As well.
Well, I'm almost done the design. I'll take questions in 1 second here, because I'm on a timer, James. This
Sure.
is like, I need to make sure I get this done. Okay, so I'm going to unhide all, so everything's unselected. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all of my fills. So just my fill stitches. I'm going to grab all of those at one point. If I turn off the true view, you can see them being grabbed. And I have a few more to grab right here. Oh, I did not want to do that.
It's number 4.
What's that?
It's mistake number 4.
Thanks, James. It's good to know somebody is counting. So let's go down here. And I want to grab them all at the same time, because then I only have to make these changes once, as long as I don't mess up like James so lovingly.
It's all about making mistakes and learning from them, right?
And to have somebody point them out as you're going along. So there is all my fills. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my fill from 0.4 millimeters density to 1.2 millimeters. It is automatically travel on edge. I'm going to get rid of my underlay. And now I have a design that is actually meant for Mylar. It will sparkle and it will shine. How long did that take me total, James? How far are we into this thing?
It was about 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay, 20 minutes. We did a design. We knocked it out. Now give me some questions.
Awesome. So the first question I have is, at the end of each red loop, or I guess the coral, why did you press enter rather than continue on?
Sorry, say one more time.
Why at the end of each red loop, I'm assuming they're talking about the coral.
Yep.
Did you enter rather than continue on?
Okay, the reason why is because I needed to have a traveling stitch. So if I look at this design right here, and if I go to my player and I play it through to the end, which is right about over here. Actually, it moved on me a little bit, so there we go. I needed to have all of these traveling stitches. So I would do a little piece, and then I would enter the piece, and then I would switch to a run stitch and go to the next object. So I had to break it apart and travel underneath, because when this is done, I want to make sure that all of my satin stitches around the outside finish off the object. Cool. It has to look nice and clean when it's done.
Awesome. Why, when you were making the LG pieces, okay, I guess that's
kind of the same question.
And when you did the lines on the coral, why did you not do the satin from the end of the run stitch, but from the opposite side?
From the opposite side. The reason why is Hatch. I always like to tell people that Hatch does have a little bit of intelligence built into it. It is actually a very intuitive program, and as long as I know that an object is going to meet an object, I don't have to necessarily control the start and stop points logically to join to the next object, because if they are going to be close enough to not register a trim, then the software will automatically change those starts and stops for you. So it's one of those things where it's like having autopilot. There's certain aspects of the software where the software will take over, which means that I kind of have to think less, but I need to know what it's going to do. So I kind of understand how the software works.
Cool. What kind of pen and tablet are you using?
I am using a very expensive Wacom Cintiq 32-inch monitor. I got to be honest, it's like overkill, but you're talking to a guy who's digitized for like 37 years now, And I do this every single day. I'm fast and I do, detailed designs. That's an easy design that I just did. This is the type of design that I will do a lot of times. So I need to have a really big tablet. You do not need to spend that much money. You can get a 16-inch or 22-inch monitor, and you can essentially, have the same results. It's all about having the technology of having this pen in hand. That is really the key, is you want to make sure you have a pen in hand while you're digitizing. There is I guess, what's it called? The Uions. Those are on Amazon, and I think
we do have
Okay, go ahead.
an affiliate link as well. So if you do want to check out all the products that we recommend for all of your
Tablets.
embroidery needs, such as tablets, pens, etc., be sure to check out this link that's being posted in the comments.
Yeah, James is a little excited about that because that is one of his latest projects. He set up an affiliate program with Amazon because a lot of people ask us about tablets. And I always tell people that if you take up digitizing, it's kind of an art form. And if you wanted to learn how to do graphics and learn how to paint, you would have to not only take the classes, but you would have to buy the easel and the canvases and the oil paints and the brushes and everything else that goes along with it to learn that trade. And this is kind of the same thing. You need a laptop or a computer, you need to have the software, and then you need a mouse, but a mouse is kind of like learning to draw with a crayon. I mean, you can only do so much. So in that way, if you buy some other tools that can be cost effective based on your needs and your budget, it will just make the whole process much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question is, can you repeat how you adjusted the density and etc. for Mylar, please?
The density for Mylar, let me go back to screen real quick and I will come back into the software. Let's see right here. Okay, so I will undo what I just did. And if I go to one of my settings, let's undo both ways. So I'll just go to this one big fill area here. So I'm not going to do it all, but I'll just highlight that area there. And there you can see it's highlighted because it's bright pink. So I have a black box around my object in my sequence view. And if I look at this right now, the the stitch spacing is 0.4 millimeters, which is standard density for most satin and fill stitches on most garments. It will change based on the garment, but that's where tools like Fabric Assist come into play. It will automatically adjust those a little bit based on the fabrics. But on pure cotton, which this is set for, 0.4 is the standard. All I have to do is change that setting from 0.4 to 1.2. That is making the spacing a little further apart, so you'll be able to see the Mylar show through. And when I hit it, the software automatically activates the travel on edge tool, which is like a trapunto tool, meaning that it will have no underlay traveling underneath. But then I still need to get rid of the underlay underneath. So if you look at the difference between these two fills, you can see the one that actually has the Mylar and the other one in the little leaves that doesn't. One is full fill with underlay. The other one is a very loose fill.
Awesome. A few people are saying they're excited to hopefully see a stitch out. So
okay, hey, well, you know what? That is a perfect segue. Did you plan that, James?
I might have, but we do actually have one more question regarding
Yes.
Hatch before you close it up.
Okay.
For the interior corners of the coil, why did you stop/start the lines rather than digitizing a corner?
For the which corners? Sorry, for the
For
coral?
the interior corners of the coral, why did you stop/start the lines rather than digitizing a corner?
I'm not 100% sure. Oh, right here. Okay, I think they're referring to this part right here. Because if I knew that this is such a sharp angle, that this coral would look really clean if it actually went in and overlapped itself. But and it's just sort of the nature of the object. I mean, it's kind of funny. I see everything in stitches. I don't know if any of you, if you are kind of like me and have been digitizing a while, and you go to the beach and you're supposed to be sitting there watching the surf and enjoying yourself, but you end up looking at a palm tree and you say to yourself in your mind, because you don't say these things out loud, I wonder how I digitize those palms. That's what it turns into after a while. It's highly addictive. But if I look here at these objects, these ones I did not cap. These are capping the ends. The software automatically turned it. So I had the choice of choosing how I wanted it to represent itself. And I think personally, because of the nature of these little coral pieces, this was the better way to go.
Awesome. We do have a few more questions.
Sure.
This one I think is going back to whoever was having the problems with the machine in the bird's nest.
Okay.
They're asking, what is the perfect pull compensation for lettering, and
Ooh.
especially if it's for a 4x4 hoop?
Okay, that is a really loaded question because pull compensation will actually vary on some other attributing factors. And what I mean by that is if you have a PK knit or a golf shirt, or you have a denim jacket, your pull compensation will probably need to be changed based on those two different fabric types. And your pull compensation will probably change based on the width of the stitch, meaning if it is a very small font, I'm talking teeny tiny, 6-7 millimeter or 4-5 millimeter font, you might need extra pull compensation because you don't want that disappearing into the knit of the fabric. So there's no one straight answer. And that's the other beautiful thing about digitizing is you never ever stop learning. I am still, 37 years later, digitizing every day pretty much, and I'm running samples and I'm always learning and I'm making mistakes. How many mistakes did I make, James?
I believe we have 4 so
Four
far.
so far.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's just with digitizing. So, go ahead.
Yeah. And one more question. Branching versus running stitches to join satin stitches.
Branching, for those of you who don't have Hatch, that might be a little foreign. There are other programs that do branch as well. Hatch does it intelligently. Branching means that you don't have to worry about the sequence in which you digitize. The software will automatically take all of those fingers and join it to the hand when you're done, even if you did them sporadically. It's kind of like branches on a trees. I can digitize any branches I want, and when I use the branching tool, it brings it all together. It's a wonderful automated tool, but it can have negative effects with dealing with really large and I guess very intricate things, because it tends to branch everything together and do the underlay all at the same time, which can give you potential registration problems. So I still like to have the mentality of knowing how to map or path or branch something in my head and do it on screen and have control, and then know when it can be applicable to use the automated features without having disastrous results.
Awesome. Then this will be the last question for now before you dive into the actual stitch out of the design. Tina says she sees a couple of pieces where it looks like the running stitches are on top of the fills. Is there any way to fix that? Or is that just a visual thing?
It's a visual, because now I have to go back and check real quick, but I can almost guarantee that there is absolutely no running stitches going on top of any of the satin stitches. Let me just go into the software real quick, bring this up on full screen.
And for those asking what mouse and remote he uses, it is the Wacom Cintiq.
Cintiq monitor, yes. And I apologize for my little beeping there. It's probably my wife telling me that my hamburger's ready. Just kidding. So yeah, there are absolutely no running stitches on top of the satins, but you could fix that within your sequence. The sequence view at the side, if I do have one of these off, I could actually resequence it or redigitize a little piece or object. Are we ready to show the sample, Mr. Deere?
Oh, we're ready.
Okay, so here is the sample sewing. It is in a time lapse so that we are not going on too long. And here we have our design hooped. We put down our placement. We have a tack down for the Mylar. Then the fill stitches. I obviously did digitize this to do this sample because I wanted to be prepared and give you guys the real deal. I mean, the proof is in the stitching, so you need to see what is actually coming off the machine. And to not bore you, we did not go through even a time lapse of every little object. And James, thank you for editing this afternoon, last minute. I am the king of procrastination. I saved this until the 11th hour. But there we put the puff stuff down. Now, if you don't have Mylar and you don't have puff stuff, I'm pretty sure the boys will put up some links. Puff stuff gives you a raised 3D effect without having to use 3D foam or change any density settings on a design. And all you do is you put it under the water, warm water, and a toothbrush, and you are done. So that is exactly how this design looked when it's finished. And of course, I do have the sample here. Here was my run sheet. Always have a run sheet with you. There was 34,492 stitches in this design, and this is what it looks like when it is done, and hopefully you can see it sparkle and shine, and I can have him swimming forwards or backwards any way I want. But there he is. I mean, he looks awesome. He looks great, and you can hopefully see that raised effect in that satin stitching. That puff stuff with satin stitches, it actually does really, really cool. Now, keep in mind, it has the same attributes as 3D puffy foam. It is, the puff stuff actually does dry, it stiffens hard, so you wouldn't want to use it on washable garments. It will be there for a little while, but eventually it will wash away. But as far as hats and non-wearable items or tote bags or anything like that, it is just a really cool thing. The beauty of it is you can actually get really fine details and still have it raised.
Awesome. Lots of people are saying they love it. Wow, beautiful. So thank you everybody for the kind words. We really appreciate them.
Awesome. And if we do, does anybody want us to post this somewhere, James? Can we get some likes, some thumbs up, some love if you would like us to post this design for you guys to run? I'd be happy to do that. It's going to be a freebie.
Awesome.
Do we have some likes?
Oh yeah, everybody seems very excited.
If there would have been one person, I would have posted it. So
we have a couple more questions as well.
Yep.
Lots of likes coming in. Everybody's saying yes, please. So we'll be sure to get that out to you guys. Awesome. Is there any way in Hatch to apply a name label to individual objects, like you can in Corel Draw?
A name label, so almost like creating a template, I'm guessing.
Apply a name label to individual objects.
I'm not really familiar with Corel Draw. I know enough of it to be dangerous, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. That would be a great question to post in our Hatch Facts group, because there might be somebody who is very familiar. I learned just enough about the programs like Illustrator and Corel Draw to be dangerous, because in reality, digitizing software is kind of like a object-based CAD system where you're drawing. So I never liked the idea of drawing things twice. I only wanted to do it once. So I could bring anything from a picture of a golf ball to a used napkin to anything, and I would just go off of a PNG or JPEG and awesome. Bring it in.
Do you stop the design to add the puff stuff before the satin stitch?
Yes, you definitely, after it does all of the fill stitches in the design, so the fill is the Mylar went through, the fills went down, then when it got to the first satin stitch, we stopped the machine, we put the puff stuff down, and just continued on the path.
Awesome. And a few people are asking if you would be able to post the artwork so they could give it a try.
That one I would have to say no, because I did purchase a license to use that artwork, and I purchased it for myself, and to share it would be infringing on the copyright for the artist. Okay. So that one, unfortunately, I cannot.
But you will still be getting the free design.
Yes, the free design is there. Yep.
Awesome.
Now I have a couple more things to show. Is that okay, James?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. A couple more things to show you guys. Of course, I mentioned that the Valentine's Day sale is happening right now. And if you just give me 1 second, come on here. Oh, hopefully I'm still alive. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. So you might have seen that we have come out with 2 of our, John Deere collection series. One is the Forest Legends, which was a couple weeks ago, and the other is our Outback collection. Well, we did just release our newest one yesterday, I believe. And here's what's new at Embroidery Legacy. We have our African animal collection. So this is another incredible, artistic merit design collection of African animals. I am going to put a little disclaimer out there, and I did this right before the live. We had somebody message us saying, oh, I would have loved to have gotten this, but all of the jumbo designs, there's 7 jumbo designs, which are the ones with the animals with all of the flowers and leaves and everything. They said that most of them won't fit into my 200 by 300 hoop. And that was a mistake on my part. So I did edit all of these designs. So now we actually have 5 new files that are being added to this collection, so that you will be able to run them at the smallest size, which is 200 by 300 for the jumbo designs. If you did already purchase this collection, give us until tomorrow afternoon when we get around to updating it in the back end of our site. You can re-download your purchase and the new files will be there. Right, James?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is our African animals. And at this point, we're going to give away a couple of African animals. So if you want to, what should we do to win? Some comment of some sort?
Sure. Why don't you type in African collection in the comments and we will choose a winner.
Okay, so African collection.
We do have 2 questions regarding the puff stuff.
Mm-hmm.
1, can it be used on any design? And 2, do you need to change any stitch values before putting it on?
That is the beauty of puff stuff, is you do not need to change any settings within an embroidery file. Keeping in mind that it works best with satin stitches, it raises the most. It will still raise a fill stitch a little bit, but obviously fills are hammering down the area. And it will actually work with running stitches, but it will raise those running stitches a little bit and give them a little bit of dimension as they go forward. But there's absolutely no changes that need to be made within the embroidery file, where if you're familiar with 3D foam, which is awesome. I mean, I won my first grand prize in 1998 for a 3D foam bulldog that I did. So I love foam, but you have to digitize things specifically for foam. You have to cap the ends. You have to make sure that everything is done perfectly, and then you pray to the embroidery gods that it sews out all right. So
awesome.
Cool. Okay, real quick, guys, I'll just show you. We have an elephant, and I have to laugh at this, and please, I don't mean to offend anybody, but my wife saw a post, and it was from a kid in grammar school, and instead of African elephant, he actually said to his teacher, "It's a frickin' elephant." And I'm not trying to swear, but that was the funniest thing. Anyway, so this is a African elephant. This is a giraffe. And we have I guess this would be a cheetah or leopard. I'm terrible with my animals. Do you know what that one is, James?
It's a cheetah.
It's a cheetah? Okay. That is a lion. I know that for sure. Okay. Then we have our rhino. So all of these come in multiple sizes, and these are just the animals all by themselves. And then these are the jumbo designs that I was talking about. This one actually, I think I did have to resize for the 200 by 300. This one actually fits, so I didn't need to resize this one. And they do come larger. If you have a commercial machine or one of the new machines with the jumbo hoops, we actually have them in 3 to 4 different sizes. So they can be really, really big.
Yeah, we'd love to see any samples as well if you do stitch them out.
Please.
I see Jonathan is here in the live. He's been sharing a lot of his samples recently, so thank you, Jonathan. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and you're my rock star. Well, your mom and your sister. I mean, you guys, right?
No, another Jonathan.
Another Jonathan. Okay.
There's lots of Jonathans.
There's lots of Jonathans out there, but there's a digitizer, Jonathan, who's taken the classes as well, and he shares a lot of stuff. But and thank you for sharing. Then this one, I love this one for some reason. This is one of my favorites, the one with the, what's that one called? Just kidding, James. It's a zebra. Okay, I know that. And then we have a couple more. So they are pretty cool. They are realistic. They are obviously stitch intensive because you don't get that type of detail without having a lot of blending, but they are not bulletproof. They still actually run well and register well. Another thing is, if you guys are Hatch users, you might know that we have I think over 900 ESA optional fonts, glyphs, and all kinds of stuff. And we have a couple of really cool ones that just came out. We actually did our Sugar Skulls 1, just was released last week. And this week we released our, what was it called? The Floral Mandela Split Designs. And there is a 2 coming for both of those as well. And these are letters, just so you guys know. And we did a Facebook Live a little while back where I actually colored in that skull and did kind of what we did here today. But that was a letter within, a keystroke within the alphabet of the software. Also, love is in the air. We have Valentine's coming up, and that's on Monday. So if you need a last-minute project, we have over 450 I think designs available just within our Valentine's section. And then if you don't know about our Legacy Design Club, check it out because it is the absolute best way to save on designs and fonts, because we've built both into the site, and you literally pay, like 25 cents for a design as opposed to $3.95 or more, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's most affordable way to get quality embroidery designs.
Yep. And our strength is in our collection. We have, 30,000 designs to choose from, and every single week we come out with new content, and we have a lot more scheduled. I've been digitizing like crazy. I'm going to actually give it a break a little bit because I'm about 6 months ahead right now, and I need to take a rest. Now, James, do we have some winners?
We sure do. Can
Awesome.
we get a drum roll, please?
Okay. Actually, Jesse is the drummer in the family. So,
alrighty. Our YouTube winner is Andy Dowding. So thank you very much, Andy.
Awesome.
Congrats. And our Facebook winner is Helen Spangler.
Awesome.
So
Congratulations.
Andy and Helen.
Andy and Helen. Now, if you want to claim your African collection, just email us at contact@embroiderylegacy.com. That's contact@embroiderylegacy.com. Let us know that you were the lucky winners, and Leanne in our office will make sure that the collections are sent out to you right away. And again, Hatch Digitizer is on sale till the 20th. So if you are thinking about maybe playing with Hatch, because I always tell people, trying before you buy is one of the best things to do, and you do have some time right now, you can download that free trial, and you can actually take our Digitizing challenge, which actually gives you artwork that we can legally give you, and you can create all the designs that you see there and see if this software is for you and see if digitizing is for you, because some people think they want to digitize and then find out after taking this challenge that it's not really for them, and that's fair enough. You just might want to edit designs or play with our glyphs and our ESA fonts, and that's fine too. So whatever you're comfortable with. So you can do that. Awesome. We do have our Hatchfax Facebook group for all of our users. We have another Facebook group called Digitizing Made Easy in Machine Embroidery, or maybe I reverse those two. But come check them out. We have like 25,000 members. And if you are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, ring that bell. We've hit 45,000 viewers or subscribers now. So that is awesome. We really appreciate you guys. We are a small family business, and I kind of like it that way. Coming from the commercial side with 2 factories, I like just having this intimate relationship with my family and with you. So we appreciate that. Awesome. And anything else, Mr. Deere?
No, I think that's it for now. Be sure to check out our brand new African Animals collection. And again, we'd love to see any stitch outs.
Stitch outs. And if you had fun, please give us some, thumbs up, some hearts. Let us know in the comments. We appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this Digitizing Live session, let us know. And we'll throw another one out there in the near future. And other than that, we have a action-packed year ahead. We have a lot of stuff planned in the months ahead, and it only gets better from here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you had a great time.
Awesome. Thank you.